Hello guys, so here I'm back again with another Escalation Tier 10 video. This time I'll be doing Potomac Event Center. Let me show you my build real quick. I'm using 4-piece striker, all pieces with echo, critical hit damage, and I'm using the backpack and the chest piece. For my gloves, I'm using Exodus Glove because these things are great for solo play. And chest and knee pads with echo and almost god roll DPS stats. I'm using double MK46, both guns with echo, critical hit chance, and frenzy. That way I can deal with the variety pack debuff. And I'm also using the quick step, the reviver hype, the decoy, and the gunner specialization. For my seasonal modifier, I already have it maxed out. I'm using invincible active modifier, and I'm using munitions spell contagion and surge drive passive modifiers. Now for my stats, here's the sources for the critical hit chance. I have 186.3% critical hit damage and a sum of around 202% all weapon damage plus LMG damage. So let's start with the mission. So yeah, like I said already on some of my previous videos, the weekly escalation rotation for this week is pretty simple and pretty easy compared to the missions that we had last week, and Potomac follows that same rule. This is a pretty chill mission with around 100 enemies and with a completion time of around 15 minutes, just like on the Island Ballpark. So, if you want another mission to try out escalation, get the hang of it, and trying to understand the mechanics from another enemy faction, in this case the Outcast, then this is a pretty good mission to try things out. So for this beginning part, I like to stay on the north wall. That way I'm able to have a decent line of sight with all of the enemies that should be spawning right on the back of the room. But you gotta be careful with the enemies from the south side that may try to flank you. In this case, I had a heavy enemy that was trying to kill me, and I was forced to push him in order to be able to kill them. So that's pretty much the thing right there. And it's pretty common that heavy LMGs just stay in their position in case they have a good line of sight. Those are definitely one of the most difficult enemies that the Outcasts have. And as you might have already noticed, whenever I get one kill with one of my LMGs, I always switch to the other one so I'm able to reset the kill counter from variety pack. That way I can keep my DPS output as high as possible. So once we kill all of the enemies on this first room, we are gonna continue along with the mission. If you have around 500 LMG bullets, then you shouldn't need to refill your ammo. Gonna move towards this piece of cover right here, and usually we should be able to kill all of the enemies on the first wave. There's usually like a suicide bomber right in the middle that's going to kill most of the enemies. And right as we're killing the enemies from those beginning waves, we're gonna start getting more enemies to spawn on the left wall. So we can spawn kill them from this position right here. It's a pretty chill position, we just have to be careful with all the enemies that may come from the right flank. And the usual tip, if you don't want to waste high quality ammo, you can use the gunner weapon to get some of your kills. The weapon is going to reload itself after you swap to another weapon, and that way you can keep all your high quality ammo for other runs. I definitely have been using that gun a lot, especially on this mission. That way I can keep my high quality ammo consumption within the estimate that I like to give on the description on all of my videos. So yeah, that info is pretty useful to have. Anyways, for this next part, I'm gonna be dropping a decoy, doesn't matter where, and we're gonna stay around this area on this green box right here, and we're gonna be dealing with the first enemy wave that's already inside of the room. There's gonna be two enemy waves that are gonna be spawning from the walls on the left, and then the rest of the enemies are gonna be spawning from the back of the room on the upper floor. They're gonna be dropping down, trying to rush us. So yeah, that's the second wave that's going to be spawning from the left wall, and from there the rest of the enemy waves are spawning on the back of the room. Usually there's a suicide bomber that you can easily shoot on the chest piece so that you're able to keep some flames on where the enemies spawn. And that way you can spawn kill them a lot more easily, like that guy over there. And right as you kill the last enemy, which is right over there, right on the back, I didn't saw him, so I had to run towards the gear. You should be able to continue along the mission. And also one thing to note about Potomac is that you have 5 gear crates throughout the mission, but only 4 of them are found inside of the mission during an escalation run. The 5th gear crate is going to be outside of the main mission area, and it doesn't seem like prototype gear drops from those gear crates. So yeah, only the 4 gear crates, the first 4 gear crates are going to have prototype gear. And as always, that gear is going to scale with the escalation tier that you have, so you don't have to worry about getting like bad gear. It's a good idea to try to open set crates. So yeah, the first gear crate is going to be found right behind where I am, towards my left. There you go. That's the first gear crate. And for this boat objective, what I suggest that you do is that you first take care of the Madalena tour boat. I have heard some bugs where if you leave this objective last, if I remember correctly from what I read on Reddit, you can get the objective to glitch out and you pretty much have to say goodbye to all of the escalation tokens that you spent for the current run. So it's a better idea to first focus on the Madalena tour boat. And after you destroy the 3 boats, we are able to continue along with the mission. For the second gear crate, we're gonna find it right after we open the gate on the left side. And we can climb this thing, we can run towards a little bit to the left so that we don't have to waste too much time with the climbing animation. And we can continue along with the mission. Now for this part, let's make sure that we have a little bit over 500 LMG bullets because we have to deal with around 3 enemy waves of enemies. For the first enemy wave, I like to stay over here because we usually have a decent line of sight with the enemies that are going to be on our right. And that's especially important for the heavy LMG guys that may be spawning. We almost always get at least 1 enemy of those types on this room, although for this run I got 2 heavy LMG guys. So keep that in mind, and you can use the piece of cover that I used to try to flank the enemies on the right. Right as we kill those enemy waves, we can then move towards this box right here, and we should be able to deal with the second wave of enemies that are going to be on the upper floor. Some of those enemies will try to flank us, most of them from the left side, although we also have to be careful with some of the enemies that may be coming from the right flank. Like that guy, like you saw how he tried to climb down. Most enemies can also do that, so just be careful on not getting flanked. And then the last enemy wave is going to spawn right where the crate dropped down. There's only 2 enemies, so you shouldn't have too much issue killing them. And after you kill all the enemies, just grab all of your LMG ammo, and we can continue along with the mission. Now, right as we pass through the red crate, we're gonna take a little detour towards the left, and here we have gear crate number 3. It's an Outcast cache, so you're gonna need Outcast keys to open them. And after you open the cache, we can continue along with the mission. We're gonna run towards upstairs, and we're gonna stay on this piece of cover right here. The piece of cover is long enough so that we're able to do our chicken dance and don't get affected by the hot foot modifier. You just have to continuously move so that you don't get electrocuted on the worst moment possible. And the enemies, the first enemy waves are going to be spawning on the four doors on the upper floors. And the last two enemy waves are also going to start spawning on the lower floor, right where we continue along with the mission. So yeah, this part is pretty simple. You don't even need like something like Frenzy to survive. But consistent DPS output is going to help us in not getting shot as often by the enemies. And you can also use the piece of cover where I was staying at in case one of the enemies throws like a Molotov or something. And yeah, I tried to kill the heavy LMG guy, but I wasn't paying attention for the frenzy bar, so I got electrocuted. I got trolled by the game. Luckily, the PS of cover are not so high, so we should be able to shoot the backpack from the LMG guys without too much of an issue. And yeah, that's the concert hall fight. So we can continue along with the mission. Let's just grab some of our prototype gear. And right as we can continue along with the mission, right on the back on that hallway, we're gonna find gear crate number 4. So we can continue along. Now again, for this part, I definitely suggest you have more than 500 LMG bullets because you are definitely gonna run out of ammo in this room. There's gonna be a ton of yellows. I think this is the room with the most yellows, even more than the boss fight room. And the amount of cover that we have is, I mean, it's not bad, but we don't have that much cover to like protect line of sights and stuff. Also, the spawns can be pretty close. Like on that part right there, I almost run out of LMG ammo, and I was trying desperately to trying to not get killed and not having to use my LMG, my gun or LMG that much. Because I believe I was also a little bit low on ammo for that bad stuff, along with the MK46. So yeah, luckily for this part, there's a ton of both heavy LMGs and suicide bombers. So if you're able to destroy either the backpacks or the chest piece on the correct time, you should be able to get some nice chain kills. So yeah, after you kill all of the enemies, we can continue along towards the final room. Luckily for this final room, the strategy is pretty simple. We're just going to be staying on the first piece of cover that we have to pretty much on this side of the room. All of the enemies are going to be spawning on the opposite side, and that's pretty much it. If you ever run out of ammo, you can run towards the ammo box on the middle. Now, right as the strategist is giving us the bird, we can start reloading our frenzy LMGs so that we can start dealing with the first wave of enemies. And as I said, it's a pretty chill position to stay in. The covers on the upper spawn points are at least low enough so that we're able to shoot the backpack from one of the heavy LMG guys, so there's not too much to worry about. And usually by this point I like to reach the ammo box so that I can start filling my ammo and have enough ammo to deal with the next two enemy waves. Both of them are going to have one name enemy. One of them is going to be a sniper crossbow guy, and the other one is going to be a heavy LMG guy. So yeah, usually there's a suicide bomber with the beginning spawn on the lower floor, sorry. So we can usually shoot them on the chest piece and kill most of the enemies from the lower floor. The boss is pretty easy to kill. And the enemies overall are pretty chill to fight in this room. Just don't get too cocky, otherwise you might be risking your escalation tokens. And if you, for some reason, get flanked by one of the enemies, you also have some hallways to the left and to the right to fight them. So anyways, right as the strategist raises his arms, that's the best moment so that we can start reloading our frenzy LMG and we can start shooting the backpack from the last name enemy. Now the game is showing us some of its big game design. The heavy LMG guy just lied into a safe piece of cover, so I had to get a little bit closer to be able to fight them. But once you kill some of the enemies from the beginning spawn wave, you're gonna get some more enemies to spawn on the upper floor. So just be careful on not getting flanked by said enemies. But yeah, right as you kill all of the enemies, we're gonna get the last cryptid scene from this mission, and that should be it for Potomac Event Center. Now, as I already said in the beginning, there's a chess piece right after this mission on the exit door, but the chest won't be able to be open um, until you complete the escalation. So, I mean, I haven't completely verified it, but I don't believe you are able to get prototype gear from those caches. So, yeah, there's really only 4 gear crates that we can get prototype gear from. That's the fifth gear crate that I was talking about. So, yeah, that's Potomac Event Center, everyone. As I said, pretty chill mission. Should take you around 15 minutes, and there's 100 enemies. So, if you want to try out Escalation Tier 10 and get used to the difficulty, you can try either this mission to fight against the Outcasts, which are pretty easy to fight against, or you can do something like Coney Island Ballpark to try out something like the Black Tusk. So, anyways, that's it for this video. If you like the video, you can like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I read all of your comments, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next escalation video. So, bye bye, everyone. Have a great day.